All right, first question is from Arasando. Arasando from the USA. He says, is there a difference when saying wakarimasen and shirimasen when saying you don't know something? Yes, there sort of is. Let's go through, because wakarimasen, wakaru, and shiru. The wakaru means to understand more than anything, and shiru means to know. But sometimes they cross the line, and you could say them both at the same time. So let's sort of look at where we can find similarities and differences in these words. All right. So here are the words we're talking about. Wakaru, wakaru, to understand. Shiru, to know. So if you just said wakaru, 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 or wakarimasu, it means I understand. But you wouldn't say shirimasu, shirimasu, I know. You wouldn't say it. You would never say it. It's weird. It's weird to say shirimasu or shiru. Because you would always say, if you want to say I know using shiru, you have to say it in the ongoing present tense form. Shiteimasu. We're going to get to that in a second. Shiteimasu. We'll get to that in a very second, but before that, let's talk about this. Wakaritai, shiritai. Okay? Wakaritai, want to understand? You probably don't say this. I want to understand, it's grammatically correct, but you probably won't hear someone say wakaritai. Okay? You might hear them say shiritai though. Shiritai. I want to know. Shiritai. Oshiete. I want to know. Teach me. It's very common. But wakaritai, sort of weird to say I want to understand. Then you've got these two. You've got wakatta and shita. Shita. Wakatta and shita. Well, wakatta is extremely common to say, yeah, I got it. Understood. Wakatta. And that's just short for wakarimashita. It's the informal of wakarimashita. Got it. But you could also say shita or shirimashita. But I really don't think those are used so much. I mean, I personally don't. Like, there are times where you could say shita, but it's normally combined. Like, for example, off the top of my head, shita kaburi, act like you knew, you know. But even with that, you could say wakaru furi, to act as if you understand. Wakaru furi o shimashita. I acted like I understood. You wouldn't say shiru furi o wakarimashita, or you could say shitteru furi o shimashita. I acted as if I knew. And both of them sort of mean that. But when you want to talk about, for example, understanding a language, it's always wakaru, never shiru. You can know Japanese, but you can't understand it with shiru. Understand? You have to wakaru the language. All right, now here's where we talked about the teimasu forms, which are the ongoing present tense forms. This can be teimasu, or take off the e, make it temasu. You can have teiru or teru. These are very common. They all mean the same thing, though. So we have wakatteiru. And you'll probably hear me say wakatteru, wakatteru. You'll hear me say that. Because that's what I know. That's what I use. And shitteru instead of shitteiru. You probably won't hear people say shitteiru. But it's shitteru, 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 shitteru. I know. So if you said wakatteru, yeah, I know. Wakatteru, yeah, I got it. No, it's good. Shitteru, yeah, I know. These are pretty much the same. These are where the lines aren't really drawn at all. You know, if someone says, ashita shigoto da yo, it's work tomorrow. Ah, shitteru, I know. Or, wakatteru, yeah, I know. They both mean I know there. So, as you can see, depending on the form of that verb, that's when they sort of change up. Even though they cross the line, sometimes they mean the same thing like this. Sometimes they don't. But what if you make it into a question? This is where it changes. Even that same verb form, teiru, the teimasu ongoing present tense form. What if you said, wakatteru? Wakatteru? That means, do you understand? Wakatteru? Do you understand? But if you said, shitteru, means do you know? Or do you know of? Shitteru? Shitteru? Do you know? Do you know this thing I'm going to talk about? Shitteru? Wakatteru? Sort of different. Even though, yes, it could overlap when you're saying, ashita shigoto ga aru no wakatteru? Do you know we have work tomorrow? Ashita shigoto ga aru no shitteru? Do you know we have work tomorrow? Same thing, right? But here's where it really changes. I really feel like it changes. It's quite big. Let's say I put my name in front of it with no particles. No particles, just my name and wakatteru and my name and shitteru. Ready? Joji wakatteru? Joji wakatteru? Now that, when I hear that, I feel like you're talking directly to George and saying, George, do you understand? Joji wakatteru? Do you understand? It wouldn't mean, do you know George? It just wouldn't be. It's weird. It doesn't mean that. But Joji shitteru? That could mean two things. George, do you know? George, do you know? Or Joji shitteru? Do you know that guy George? Do you know of George? So that's where that one is really sort of takes a branch from each other, where, for me at least, I feel like they take a branch from each other there. They split up. So I mean, they're really minor, but the more you use Japanese, what'll happen is you'll just sort of understand it. I would say right now, in the beginning stages of learning Japanese, where you're asking these type of questions, it's not that huge. If you just say Wakaru always means understand, and Shiru always means know, and you know that sometimes they can cross the line, that's good enough. Because there's certain things that you can study until you're blue in the face and you'll never grasp it. You have to actually get in the field, You have to be talking to people and hear them use it. And you'll find out that the more you speak, there'll be times where you don't even know, like, how do I know this? Nande wakatteru no kana? I wonder why I understand this. Nande shitteru kana? I wonder why I know this. See, same thing anyway. But it's because your brain will absorb the Japanese people around you that are using it. So, don't worry too much about it, is my point.